Hey harmonizers, it is horse shopping time because we are looking for a new lesson horse, and this is the horse that we actually ended up buying, but I wanted to show you some of his videos first so you could see what he was all about. And what I saw is a really nice, slow, kind of more lazy type of horse, and that's what we were really looking for because our program has a lot of beginners, a lot of people that are just learning to jump and learning to do a lot of new things. And what we were finding is that ever since our beloved Pumpkin retired, she was like super amazing and she was like the super easy, slow horse to ride. We didn't really have anything to fill into her hooves, so to speak. Alicia is a superstar and can be slow and great and powerful, but she can also have some spunky moments. But she's doing kind of the maximum lessons that she can do right now, anyways. And then we have Khaleesi, who's a little bit faster. And even though we have young Millie, she's also learning to jump and a little bit quicker too. So we just needed something that would be kind of more slow, lazy type. If you lose your balance, he's more likely to stop than he is to keep going or run around the arena. And so what I loved about the videos is that he just looks like he's got this kind of relaxed attitude and his paces don't seem to be very fast at all. So depending on what you're looking for in a horse, you prioritize different things. For some people, they would say like, okay, this is totally not the horse I want because it's too lazy and I want a horse that you don't have to keep kicking to go. But for us, I'm like, okay, he's perfect. Let's bring him home. So this is him here at home. And another thing to point out too is that he came from the same trainer where Pumpkin came from. And Pumpkin was like our all-time favorite lesson horse. And this particular owner, she raises usually quarter horses and paints and does more pleasure type work, pleasure and trail with them. And it was awesome because I brought him home and this is his first time in our indoor arena at all. And he just walked right over the pool noodles like it's nothing. And then I take him over to the pedestal and he's like, yep, I know how to go over bridges and things and it's no big deal at all. So what I love about that is that even though it's his first time in the indoor arena, he's super chill and relaxed. He's not, calling and frantic, and he's super eager to just go over the obstacles and doesn't seem to care about a whole lot. So this is now a different day, and this is Coach Jess riding. Andy is his name. Andy's his barn name. And she's been coaching with us for a little while now, and this was going to be his first ride at our farm. So I was pretty happy that she was willing to put the ride on him. And we started off with checking in with his steering and his brakes, making sure that he can halt, back up. She also did some just steering around at the walk, getting him, relaxed and settled. And then we wanted to make sure that the walk was all going well before we took him off trotting. And this is all essentially kind of testing out, is he going to be good for the lesson program? Is he ready to go with students? And right away, like this is his first trot at our farm being ridden, and he's just plodding along and seems to be taking things pretty easy. And for Jess riding him, it's like, okay, like start off with steering and being pretty balanced. And then after you feel like he knows where he's going and things are okay, then let's try bouncing around on him a little bit and just see, if you were a beginner or if you were somebody that wasn't quite as good of a rider, would he get upset? Because these are really important things to know. And so there you can see she starts to do some sitting trot, but like bouncing a little bit and letting her hands move a little bit and just getting it a little bit more bumpy. And that's on purpose just to kind of see, does he get upset? Does he stop? Does he get faster? And we were looking for a horse that would be more likely to slow down to a walk. So the fact that he slowed down there as the other horse came into the arena, that's great. Like that's the kind of temperament that we're looking for what we're trying to teach and what we want his purpose to be, is to help other people learn how to ride horses and not be scared of them in the process. And so there you can see Jess tried like leaning forward, petting him, just kind of doing different things with her body. And he just keeps plodding along at the trot, no rush, no hurry, no being upset about anything. So he's doing it absolutely fantastic. Doing a little change of direction. And because of the other horse coming into the arena to do lunging, we mostly stayed at this half of the arena, did a little bit at the far end of the arena as well, but tried to, respect the other person's space doing their groundwork. So we did some testing out around up here, and then you'll see him go for a full lap around the arena in a second before the other boarders started lunging their horse. And what I really liked is that he just seemed pretty easy to get going. Even though he's more on the lazy side and the slow side, he wasn't stopping all the time, which was really nice for what we wanted to do. And there you can see he's riding around the whole arena, no problem. And when we're testing horses out too and kind of getting them accustomed to our place, we don't start with everything all at once. We start in a little bit of a little area, and then we gradually get bigger and bigger on the space that we're asking them to go out to, just so it's not overwhelming. Because you can imagine being somewhere in a new place, nothing's familiar. If you have to go see everything all at once, it could be intimidating. Could be exciting, but it could be intimidating. So we start with a little bit less. And you can see he went around really nicely, and he's still kind of keeping like a very similar pace. So I'm pretty excited, even just seeing him walk trot. I'm like, okay, like this is going to be pretty good for a lesson horse. And he seems to have some cute little movement. He's definitely not super in shape, but that's okay. He wasn't in a super consistent work program because of the winter time. They, had ridden him not as often as what they would do in the summertime, which is totally okay. And then he picked up pretty quickly how to take the cookie under saddle, because that's something that's important to us. We get our students to give the horses cookies, not a lot, usually about 5 or so through a lesson. And then that helps keep our horses motivated to try and tolerating teaching so much to different people, because they get to earn cookies throughout the lessons. So he picked that up pretty quickly, seemed pretty happy. And then before the boarder started lunging, I was like, all right, let's try some of those poles and a little jump just to see how he's doing. And he went over the poles, no problem. And his background, his training was primarily in pleasure as well as trail. And so jumping, not so much, but he would have done a fair bit of poles, prepping for trail work, but the jumping, not as much jumping. So that's going to be something that will help build some miles. But it was just really nice to see that he just plodded over the cross rail, no big deal whatsoever. So then I was like, all right, let's try some cantering and see how this goes. So he brought him onto a circle at this end of the arena, not just because, circles help keep horses slow, but because the other horse was going to start lunging at the far end of the arena. So okay, well, we'll start up at this end, and the steering going well. Of course, we're testing out bitless as well. He was trained in a bit and was always ridden in a bit, but at our farm, we really love everybody to ride bitless, because unless you need the bit for showing or you're at a particular riding level where that's important to start to use a bit and have that, we want to make sure that our horses, if you're going to pull on them and you're a little unbalanced, we don't want them to get upset, so we go bitless. And so he's doing a great job steering, just riding around, currently in the fusion halter. And we like to figure out what they need from a bitless bridle. And there they finally get their couple strides of canter, and it's like, okay, let's regroup and then we'll try again. And it's okay that the first canter, it was really fast trot, kind of unbalanced, only got a few strides, but that's a little bit of Jess being unsure what to expect from him and him being unsure if Jess actually wants to canter. And so it's a little bit of just getting on the same page. So I often tell people, when you're trying new horses too, it can be great to ride them, at least 3 times. So that way the first session can often be just figuring out each other's buttons. The second session, things start to get a little smoother. And then the third session, things usually start to be a little bit more familiar with each other. So it helps it be even smoother after that. But you can see once they figure out each other's buttons, it's okay to go for a canter. And I love that he was, if anything, defaulting to try to slow down to a trot. It's like, okay, are we done yet? Can we trot? And that's what I wanted. I wanted something that wasn't too hard to canter, but at the same time was really easy to stop and more likely to slow down than to keep going. So he's doing a super fantastic job. So here's now going the other way. And it's not uncommon for horses to have a good way and a bad way, or I guess I should say a more challenging direction. And so for him, this is his harder way, where he just doesn't seem to balance as well on the corners going this way. He tends to try to cut the corner a little bit, which means that he's falling in on the shoulder. But that's okay. He's a little bit out of shape and also getting used to our space. There he got the left lead canter, but could be because he thought maybe he was going a little bit to the left. Like there you can see he cut the pylon a little bit, and Jess is now just steering him back out to make sure he knows to stay out where he's headed, and then we'll regroup and try again. So when the horses get something confused, it's good to sometimes slow down, correct where you want to go, and then bring in the other cue that you were asking them to do. So here we get kind of that fast trot happening again, and then finally into the canter, we get all of 2 strides. And it's like, okay, you guys have to get to know each other a little bit. Jess has to figure out how much leg to use. Does she actually have to kick him to go? And she's also steering around pylons and barrels. And then it's like, okay, but he thought he was going left. Like you could see him actually drifting left there when he took that left lead. So then she's asking him again and pops into that right lead canter this time and keeps him cantering a little bit longer there. Like you could see she actually used her legs a little bit and gave a couple bumps just to get him going a little bit more, which is perfect for what we wanted, because if somebody wants to canter, we want them to be able to say like, yep, keep going, keep cantering, and not get to a place where he's getting too fast or it's too confusing or something like that. So I really enjoyed seeing him do that. And then the next progression we tried was going over the little jump and doing a little canter afterwards, which is a little bit harder to do because the other horse is being lunged at the other end of the arena. So we're just kind of using a smaller section of the arena. But all in all, you can see he goes over the jump, he does his little canter, he transitions down and steers, doesn't crash by going down into the other far end. And the horse that's being lunged at the far end of the arena had a few frisky moments, which is totally understandable because she had had a couple weeks off and it's so icy outside that the horses sometimes get onto the sand footing and they're like, yay, I can finally run, I can be excited and go around. And so he did a great job of just not getting too excited with all of that going on in the background. He still stayed really even keel. There you can see he does his little trot jump, and then Jess is able to steer. There's a good example of the other horse getting excited, which is totally fair and reasonable this time of year. It's a good thing sometimes to lunge or free run, which we did not do with Andy. We did not lunge him and we did not free run him. And look at this, like super easy canter. So I'm really excited about him, and I look forward to hearing what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and check out harmonyhorsemanship.com for even more learning.